Welcome back to AEHL Rinkside. Very pleased to be joined this time around by the governor for the U15 AAA division, Dean Melnyk. Dean, thanks very much for doing this. Really appreciate you taking the time.
You're welcome, Troy. I'm looking forward to talking to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's an exciting time right now because we're in the very late stages of the regular season here in the 2021-2022 U15 AAA year. And by all accounts, it's been a great season for you guys so far. Certainly much more normal and exciting than what we've had to all go through the past couple of years.
It sure has, Troy. Each of our teams has 3 or 4 games left on their 34-game schedule. And I consider us having been very fortunate this year in that we've had no games canceled or rescheduled due to COVID, which, hopefully continues, touch wood. And some of the premier tournaments where our teams go, like the Rocky Mountain Classic, the John Reed Memorial, and others, including some in BC, all ran. And we had many teams from our league representing the league in those tournaments. So our players got to play a lot of hockey this winter, and they're gearing up for the playoffs now.
That's outstanding. And obviously, given everything that's gone on, even in just the last couple of months for your league to get to this point without having to scrap any games, obviously that takes a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication, but that's quite the feather in the cap to everyone involved to make that happen.
Absolutely it is. I know coaches made sure they had, fulfilled their full allotment of affiliates on their rosters. They were running affiliates through the year for the most part, many of the teams, as they had players go down with injuries or whatever. And we had about a 10-day span in January where COVID ran through a number of the teams. And at times, they were running with 13, 15 skaters and emergency backup goalies, but we got all the games in. The games were all competitive. And in some cases, those teams with the short lineups and short benches actually won the games. So we're pretty proud of that. And that says a lot for our teams and our players and our coaches and our managers.
That's outstanding. Glad to hear that. And congratulations to everyone in the league for getting it to this point as seamlessly as possible. One of the other events that actually just wrapped up here a couple of weeks ago, a first-time event for the U15 AAA level, was the showcase that was held at the start of February out in Leduc. Dean, just take us through that event, how exciting it was to have it in general and how successful it was.
Oh, it was an amazing event. So as you said, it's the inaugural showcase for our U15 group. And we were excited about that. It was in Leduc, in the Leduc Rec Center, which is an amazing complex for hockey. They have 3 pads of ice. They had areas that players could warm up in. And the Leduc, the Leduc club did an amazing job in organizing it. And they had it organized to a T. They were on top of everything day to day, and they just ran a first-class event. I had an opportunity to talk to many of the scouts, many of the fans, players, all of the coaches and managers that were there. And we ran 30 games, and I got to see at least parts of all 30 games of great hockey. Had lots of overtime games, which were exciting. And it was unanimous that this was a phenomenal event in a phenomenal venue, well run, and we needed to do it again next year. So I'm pretty sure we will do it again. And
that's outstanding.
Again, we had a lot of scouts come out. We had, representatives from almost all the WHL teams, and some had multiple reps. Many AJ teams were there. And that's really what it's about, right? It's about our players having fun, playing a lot of games. It eliminates some travel because we were able to have Lloyd play some of the Deep South teams, and same with Grand Prairie to avoid some trips for them, and showcase our players. And I think it was an excellent venue to showcase our players.
Yeah, it's outstanding. Glad to hear that it went so well in year one, and that it sounds like it's going to be an annual event on the league calendar moving forward. Anytime you can showcase these players to teams and representatives from teams at the next level, that's obviously an exciting opportunity for everyone involved. You've coached in all 3 levels at the U15, U16, and U18 levels in this province. And I think that last event kind of segues into this question I want to ask you, because, we're still just a few years into this AEHL model where Hockey Alberta has sort of taken ownership of this elite level of hockey at all 3 stages. What can you say about the evolution in terms of how far it's come from the days of the 3 separate leagues now to the AEHL model at running things at the U15, 16, and the U18 levels?
Yeah, Troy, that's a great question. As you said, I coached in all three of those previous leagues, and they were all phenomenal leagues in their own right. Uh, they all, though, were very different. As a coach being a head coach in each of those leagues, I found them all to be very different, and they all had their strengths, but they didn't necessarily share all those strengths. So I think part of what Hockey Alberta wanted to do when they brought all three leagues into one league with three age categories or three divisions was to create a programmatic approach and an experience at the U15 level that you could build on at U16 and build on at U18. And while last year was in our first year last season was aborted because of COVID about midway through, even last we might have got 12 or 13 games in, it still gave us a lot of opportunity to talk about a lot of things. There's governors for each of the three divisions. We all get together. We have a chair and a vice chair and a committee, the elite male committee, who gets together on a regular basis. And we do a lot of work on what can we do across all three of our divisions to make the game better for our fans, for our coaches, and most importantly for our players. And in addition to making them better, to showcase them, because we really want to help them get to the next levels of hockey. And I think we've done a number of things across all three that make it better. One of the most exciting things I mentioned briefly in the showcase is overtime. We introduced 3-on-3 5-minute overtime period for for tie games, and everybody loves it. The players, the coaches, the fans. It's an exciting time, and when you're going to overtime, everybody goes, "Oh, let's strap up our seats." And nothing better than watching these talented, U15 players play wide open 3-on-3 hockey to the point where the majority of our overtime games do come out with a winner. So.
There you go. Just another great way to keep the game evolving, keep it exciting for everyone involved. And boy, if you really want to get an example or a real good feel for how talented these kids are, throw them out in a 3-on-3, because some of that structure disappears and a lot of exciting things can happen in the course of 5 minutes or less.
Exactly. And the other thing we did, we like the U18 group have had a showcase for some time, and we introduced it at the U16 level and at the U15 level. And the U16s this year, their showcase in Edmonton was with the U18s. It was combined. And we had U15 separately in Leduc. All were a success. We changed our playoff format at mostly at the U16 and the U15 level. And the format stayed the same, but we've for the finals, which are also the provincials, we've gone to the tournament format that Hockey Canada uses for the Memorial Cup, et cetera, where we have a host and 4 teams that make it, 2 from the north, 2 from the south, based on their playoffs. So that's pretty exciting. And we're doing the same at U16. We have a regular cadence with our draw zones, with our coaches, with our managers, just to get feedback. What's working, what's not working, what do you folks want to see? And we've got a long list of things that we want to do and we want to improve on. Because what better way to get feedback on our league and our game and what we can do better than by asking those that are most involved in it. And last but not least, we look outside. So, and what I mean by that is we look to our left and CBC and what's working there and what's not. And we look to Saskatchewan and Manitoba and see what's working there and what's not. And we're even looking at Europe and then at the US programs. And there's a lot of things that we don't think would work, but there's a lot of good ideas and good things that we talk about bringing into our game. And we essentially have no sacred cows, so to speak, in how we look at the game. And our league chair, Neil Robertson, and vice chair, Aaron Rowley, they challenge us all the time. Do we still need to do that? What can we do better? Why are we doing this? And to me, that's just how we'll make this league better. And we're always doing it within the context. What's best for our players' development and what'll give them the most exposure. So it's exciting.
That's fantastic. Love to hear that. Creativity is a big part of what you guys are doing at the AEHL in all 3 leagues, as you mentioned. And Yeah, no idea. It was really a bad one when it comes to focusing on the players and trying to make the product and the model itself as effective as possible. So obviously late in the regular season, you mentioned that the league playoffs will be right after that. And then the provincials, I believe, are in Fort Saskatchewan coming up in
Right.
March. So
Yeah.
that'll be exciting with that tournament format that you mentioned. And then another thing I'm personally excited for, because I was at the last one in Red Deer in 2019 already, but the Alberta Cup's coming back this spring in Red Deer, along with a couple of other events that Hockey Alberta is all bringing together here in Red Deer coming up this spring. Just great to see the Alberta Cup coming back to give these players yet another chance to showcase their skills.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I was disappointed last year when Alberta Cup was canceled. I coached in the Alberta Cup. I was a head coach of the South team in 2014. And, I tell Mike Krejci all the time, as a coach, it was my best experience ever from a perspective of learning, putting a lot of pressure on me. Barry Midori is an amazing coach, mentor for all of us. And it was just a great process as a coach and for the players and the assistants as well. So I'm glad to see it's back. Our players are excited about it. They're talking about it. The coaches are talking about it. Many coaches from our league will be coaching in Alberta Cup or the Prospects Cup, which is for the U13s. And that's exciting for us too, because as I said, for me, it was the best learning experience I've had as a coach. And I think our coaches that are taking part in it will come back to our league better coaches than when they went out to Alberta Cup. And the players will come back better players with lots of exposure.
Yeah, absolutely. Really looking forward to that between late April and early May coming up in Red Deer, those showcase events at the end of the season. Just in closing, Dean, again, thanks for taking the time this afternoon, but just any messages you want to share to everyone out there and everyone involved in the U15 AAA league as the season starts to wind down here?
Yeah, I'm excited about the Alberta Elite Hockey League in general. Our U15 Elite AAA league, I think we've made it better for the 21-22 season. We're already meeting and planning on what we can do as a league and in our U15 division next season and what we can change and how we can make it better. And so there's more exciting things to come. Our league is just going to get better and our players are going to get better and our coaches are going to get better, which is good for everybody.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on a great season so far. Good luck with league playoffs and provincials coming up here in the next several weeks. And thanks very much once again for taking the time.
Thanks for having me, Troy. I really enjoyed talking to you.